It's time for the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX. On your radio at AM 940 and online at mywithersradio.com. Recognized by the Illinois Broadcasters Association as one of the premier radio feature programs in the state. You're about to roam the region with more guests and content courtesy of Crossroads Community Hospital. Live from the Powerhouse, the Saturday Sports Show starts now.
And good morning. It's a chilly Saturday morning, but glad to have you with us nonetheless. Holiday tournament talk getting ready to heat up here on the Saturday Sports Show, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
You betcha it is. 9 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. Glad to have you with us. We'll talk some holiday tournaments today. We'll have Scott Gamber, Mount Vernon Rams head coach. We'll talk about the Rams game last night against Marion. Also get his thoughts on the upcoming Centralia holiday tournament. Jeff Lonnon, head coach of the Mount Vernon Lady Rams, will join us. His team is 10-1 on the year. Just that lone loss to Nashville back at the Nashville Thanksgiving tournament. His team is experiencing a great deal of success right now. Mascoutah is where they're headed. Had a brain flatulence there for a moment, but Mascoutah is where the Lady Rams will head. We'll talk a little bit about that with Coach Lonnon. Sean Docherty, head Rams wrestling coach, will join us as well here on the Saturday Sports Show. His team will head to the Bomber Classic, so we'll talk a little wrestling holiday tournament action here on the Saturday Sports Show as well. Mike McManus, Andy Sloan, Jeffrey Drake will join us in the 9 o'clock hour, so we'll talk pretty well any holiday tournament you care about here on the Saturday Sports Show, as long as it's in our coverage area, of course, which is extensive, so there you go. We'll talk your favorite holiday tournament and more, and Mike, of course, Sesser-Valier will be one of the ones we talk about as well. SV, of course, one of our favorite stops on the WMIX Sports Mobile Studios, and this year should prove to be no different. Of course, WMIX will have a couple of games from there on the 26th, but you take a look at the seeds, and we'll talk more about this in depth a little bit later on, but you take a look at the seeds at Sesser. The Woodlawn Cardinals are number 1. The Waltonville Spartans are number 3, so a nice little Jefferson County flavor there down there at Sesser. Yeah,
and it just gives the opportunity for the seeds to play out, get in that right side of the bracket. And, you know, the possibility exists of another opportunity for Woodlawn Waltonville getting together. But there's about 14 other teams that's going to have something to say about that, too.
I'll tell you what, as long as one of these days I get my all-county super sectional, Woodlawn-Weber, Woodlawn-Waltonville, Waltonville-Weber, I'll be happy. But anytime we can see a county matchup in a championship game, that'd be nice. Well, we see that. We'll talk about Sesser-Valier a little bit later on in the program, as well as Centralia. We'll have Mascoutah girls talk. Benton girls talk. We will have, we'll go into Fairfield girls tournament a little bit. Carbondale, Pinckneyville, Collinsville, Freeburg, St. Elmo, all hosting tournaments. Vandalia, of course, St. Elmo's over. St. Elmo won that one over Altamont last week. But anyhow, we're going to talk some holiday tournament action today. First, we need to take a look at your WMIX scoreboard from last night. Of course, you heard it on WMIX FM. You watched it on WMIXsports.com. The Marion Wildcats got their first conference win of the year against the Mount Vernon Rams, 54-45. In southwestern Jefferson County last night, the Waltonville Spartans beat Crab Orchard, 58-31. Centralia came from behind on the road to beat Carbondale, 40-36. Harrisburg trailed Heron early, but pulled away for their 10th win of the year. They are 10-0, 59-36 winners over the Heron Tigers. Benton beat West Frankfort last night in a close one. West Frankfort had actually pulled ahead late, but Benton got back on top, so Ron Weinmiller's team beats West Frankfort 45-42. Massac County 10 better than Murphy last night, 47-37. Two rivals, the Battle of Route 127 last night. Nashville beats Pinckneyville by 7, 41-34. It was Sparta over AJ, 54-39. DuQuoin 2 better than Carterville, 48-46. Chester beats Alvarado in diamond play last night, 68-32. It was Trico over Christopher, 55-39. Meridian last night beat Paducah St. Mary before Paducah St. Mary heads into the Carbondale Holiday Tournament. Meridian Bobcats 77, Paducah St. Mary 66. Mount Carmel got a tournament win over Washington Catholic out of Indiana last night, doubling them up 56-28. It was Newton over Effingham St. Anthony 74-43. Edwards County beat Clay City 67-50. Oblong, last year's sectional finalist, got a big win over the Martinsville Blue Streaks 101-37. It was Columbia over Carlisle and Cahokia play 44-40. Westglen beats Triad last night, edging them 42-41. It was Jersey over Highland 55-43. Freeburg 20 better than Redbud, 57-37. Alton Marquette beat Mount Olive last night in a riveting ball game, 70-11. It was Belleville East over Alton, 69-46. Granite City 66, Collinsville 62. Belleville West beats O'Fallon last night as West could be a matchup for the Mount Vernon Rams in the second round at Centralia. They beat O'Fallon last night 64-56. And Civic Memorial in a why are they playing game beat Marissa Coulterville to 25. High school girls basketball last night, Mount Carmel over Washington Catholic in the Toyota Classic, 81 to 18. There was Civic Memorial over Roxana, 51 to 32. Belleville West beat O'Fallon, 53 to 48. And Breeze Central beats Freeburg, 58 to 39. For a full look at that scoreboard, log on to WMIXsports.com, as well as the archives from last night. We're working on getting those up as well. Video highlights from previous games. You'll love the new WMIXsports.com. Check it out from your computer or any mobile device. Don't forget, you can also listen to the Saturday Sports Show online or watch Rams and Lady Rams basketball and listen to the Jefferson County Basketball Showcase. It's all at WMIXsports.com. We hope you'll take the time to enjoy it. Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook for this week's WMIX social media question of the week. This week's question, and we're getting ready to post it on there right now, I promise. Have a guy for that. DC, of course, out of the office today. He's on assignment. But Christmas trees, do you prefer real, fake? None at all. So you let us know on Facebook once we get that posted here in just a moment. We need to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk with Rams head coach Scott Gamber about last night's loss to Marion, 54 to 45. This is the Saturday Sports Show presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend that time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, the entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician, physician assistant, or nurse practitioner within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com/faster to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
Hi, this is Susan.
Joy.
Jim. Joe.
Star.
From People's National Bank in Mount Vernon. All of us at People's National Bank would like to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We truly appreciate our customers and consider each and every one of you to be part of the People's National Bank family. So from our family to yours,
Happy Holidays!
People's National Bank, serving Southern Illinois since 1909. Member FDIC.
Out of all my reindeer, you know you're the mastermind. Yeah. Run, Rudolph, rather stay too far behind.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Glad to have you with us. Glad to have Scott Gamber, head coach of the Mount Vernon Rams, on the horn. We're working on getting him, of course. The Mount Vernon Rams fall to Marion last night to a final of 54 to 45. Of course, we'll get Scott Gamber here in just a moment. We'll talk a little about the CHT as well, as the Rams will actually be in action again on Thursday, December the 27th at 10 a.m. Lonnon-Richards. Of course, we will not be able to bring you video of that game. However, we will have streaming audio on WMIXsports.com as well as radio coverage on WMIX FM. Scott Gamber joins us now. Scott, good morning.
Morning. How are you guys doing?
You know what? Pretty good. Obviously, I think a little disappointed, much like yourself. The Rams go into Marion last night and fall 54 to 45, but it was just one of those games. Marion was ready. They started off hot with a 10-0 run, 7-0, then a timeout, but then the 10-0, and that really just seemed to be the difference in that ball game. Rams were able to get within 3 after 3, but just kind of ran out of gas.
Yeah, and I mean, that's can't start out like that on the. I mean, you can't start out like that any time, but you especially can't start out like that on the road. And I think that was the big thing. I think that their kids were a little hungrier than ours last night, and they desperately wanted that game. And I don't think we came out the way we needed to in order to win a conference road game. And there were some things out there last night that I think are that we can at least look at and say, hey, here's what we can do differently. And then, some of it's just, getting mentally prepared a little better. But, I think we chased them a little bit on their screens last night, and I think we can correct that hopefully. And tough part is, you said it last night on the radio. This is getting ready to be a really tough stretch of games with the Centralia Holiday Tournament and playing a really good team in Lonnon-Richards, and then having T-Town and then jumping right back into conference. And it's kind of a weird year whenever we play a holiday tournament in T-Town, then you have one conference game, then you immediately jump into your midwinter tournament. So it's a tough stretch.
Well, and tough stretch, and once you get to that point, it seems like you head right back into the Salem Midwinter Tournament, Salem Invitational. Yes. But taking a look back at last night, and something we noticed twice in the ball game, and you talked about this in the post game as well, were 7-point deficits. Have an attempt for an easy layup, miss, and then it turns right back into a Marion 3, and you're able to circumvent that once, but not able to come back from that a second time, and really it just seemed like the hot shooting of Marion and sometimes the wide open shots are really also a difference in that game, and really kind of what prohibited the Rams from ever making that true comeback.
I think so. I don't think we got enough stops to make a comeback, and then both of those, I thought especially when we got it to 3 at the end of the third quarter, I felt like we had a lot of momentum. It was our ball coming out of the quarter. We ran our lob play. It worked perfect. Michael Caesar made a perfect pass, and we just missed a point-blank layup. And I think you could just immediately tell, and then like you said, they come down, they hit a 3. Now instead of it being a 1-point game, it's a 6-point game. And I think you could just kind of feel our energy drop a little bit. We couldn't get it. We didn't score. They scored. They got up 8. And it's just, when you work so hard to cut it from, 17 to 3, and then it gets right back up to 8 because you've missed a couple layups, that just kills you. And it's pretty hard to be able to make another comeback after you had just mounted one.
Well, and Marion, like I said, just came out hot. They were ready to go last night. They're now 5-4 in the year. They get their first conference win. Meanwhile, the Rams are now 7-4 heading into the Centralia Holiday Tournament. And then hard to believe we're already to that point of the season. Of course, we got the pairings early last week, maybe late the week before. But the Rams have drawn Oaklawn Richards at the 10 a.m. matchup, of course, on Thursday the 27th. What do we know about Oaklawn this year? Of course, Richards, we all know the alma mater of NBA superstar Dwayne Wade, but obviously they're not going to have a player of that caliber coming into the CHT this year.
Right. Basically, we know a lot about what we don't know a lot about them. What we know about them, we've learned a lot from Chicago Maris coach, and we've been able to see them a little bit on film, but they're a team that kind of like us, they've had some ups and downs. They've beaten a couple teams that are very good opponents. They lost fairly big to Marist, which that's not a bad loss. Really, Marist's got 2 Division I guards. They're a nice team, but the Marist coach kind of said, "Hey, you look at their talent and you look at what they've got, and then you look at the record, and things just don't match up." He said that he thinks they're as good as anybody up there, but they're 4-3. They've lost to Marist by a decent amount, I think 16, 17, 18, somewhere in there. But then their other 2 losses, they lost to Thornton Fractional South. Then they lost to Thornton Fractional North. Thornton Fractional North, like 11-1. They beat Benet Academy. They beat Tinley Park. So they're playing good people. They have a 6'7" kid that's their best player, leading scorer, averaging, I think, around 16, 17 a game. They've got a couple good guards. It's going to be one of those games where they're going to put a lot of pressure on us. We're going to have to be really ready, and maybe a little bit of incentive for our kids to play even harder. Than just that is that you lose that game, you're playing at 8:30 in the morning the next morning. So try to stay out of that game as well.
Of course, depending on the result of your game, you get the winner or the loser of Belleville West and Salem on Friday. And Salem obviously a matchup where they're having kind of a tough time emotionally right now after Scott Holst ultimately tragically died in a car accident, of course, on Thursday. Of course, our best wishes and sympathies go out to the Holst family and the community of Salem. But that on the girls' side, obviously a close-knit community, that'll impact them coming into an emotional time. And, you have the Wildcats or the Belleville West Maroons, and getting back kind of to the point of basketball. If it's Belleville West, that's a rematch from a year ago and maybe something you can kind of play up if you're able to get past Oaklawn.
Yeah, I think so. I think the nice part is either way, we're gonna be very familiar with our opponent in the second round, whether it be Belleville West or whether it be Salem. And we've already secured film on Belleville West just in case. We've obviously already played Salem and have film on them, and I think the familiarity of the opponent's a lot greater in the second game. It's just, you guys know, that tournament's so much more fun to be in when you can get on the winner's side. And that's got to be your ultimate goal every year, and obviously this year is to get in that winner's side, to see if you can, make a run. It'd be really nice to have a chance to play Belleville West again. I thought we'd let one go last year, had a 5-point lead with 3 minutes to go and couldn't close it out. And it'd be nice to have a chance with them and to get in that, Final Four there. But we're going to have our hands full with Oakland. We're going to have to play a lot better than what we've played the last 3 games if we're going to be able to advance. And, I like the fact that I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on us. I hope, I think that may allow us to have a couple easy baskets. Marion just made things tough on us last night. They didn't give us any easy baskets, and we couldn't hit a perimeter shot. So, defense was a struggle, but offense was also a struggle because, we've played Marion twice now. We've hit 1-3 in 2 games. Our team is not built to score without hitting a few perimeter shots. And you just, when your tallest player is 6'3", and when a lot of the sets you run are around the perimeter, it's tough when you're not hitting any shots. And we're going to have to hit a few perimeter shots against Oakland with their athleticism and their size. If we can't score on the perimeter, it's going to be very difficult.
Well, no doubt about that. And, of course, I know you're wanting to get to practice and get busy working on some of those things today. But time for the WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week. And with Mizzou and Illinois playing today, you'd think it might be revolving around that. But it's not. It's revolving around Christmas time. And, Scott, we ask you, Christmas trees. Are you a real tree guy or a fake tree guy or none at all?
We do the fake tree. My parents always did a real tree forever, and then I don't know how many years ago, they went to the artificial, and they've never looked back. So I think the real tree is so much nicer, but it's a lot bigger hassle, too, I think.
Well, it's a hassle because you have the needles falling all over the place. Yeah. You have the fire hazard. You have things of that nature. Fake does lose some ambiance, I think, because you don't get that smell. You can always buy their artificial scents, like the Christmas pine or whatever, but fake is you can rest a little bit better at night with a fake tree in the house, I always say. So that's a solid choice.
I think that's why my parents went to it, and then that's what we've kind of taken from there, too.
Well, there you go. It's a new tradition, the fake Christmas tree. And you know what? I don't even remember if we got a tree this year or not myself, but there's that. But, Scott, obviously best wishes over the course of the holiday. I know you'll be watching that Mizzou-Illinois game intently tonight, and, of course, we'll catch up with you at Centralia. So good luck to the Mountford Rams at the CHT. Can't wait to do some holiday tournament basketball.
All right, well, thank you guys very much. You guys have a Merry Christmas, too.
Same to you. That's Scott Gamber, head coach of the Mountford and Rams. And you know what? 7-4 going into the Centralia Holiday Tournament. That happens. The Rams will have Oakland Richards, of course. They're over 500. I don't know if you're upset. You really can't be upset about much. They're having a pretty good season thus far. Have upset Cahokia, though they've lost to Marion twice. And I know you take a look at that Althoff loss and the Collinsville loss, but whatever. I'm a positive guy. I think it's going to go well in 2013, even though we still have possibly 4 games to play in 2012.
Absolutely. You got to be like that. Anytime you're above 500, early in the year like this, before your major holiday tournament takes, fold in front of you. And, you got so much familiarity with a lot of teams in there. You got to be positive with the winning record like that.
That you do. Of course, we'll talk plenty more about the Centralia Holiday Tournament, top of the 9 o'clock hour. Plenty more to come here on the Saturday Sports Show, including Jeff Lonnon. Mount Vernon Lady Rams are 10-1 on the year. Without their leading scorer, they've won the last 4 games. We'll talk with Jeff Lonnon about that when we come back. This is a Saturday Sports Show presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
You're looking for a great quality SUV to get you through the winter, right? Well, Second Chance Auto has never had a better selection. Find SUVs from small to medium to large. 4-wheel drive models, too. Their inventory has never been better. Cars, trucks, vans, and many priced under $10,000. Instant approval with honest deals on great vehicles. Most have a 3-month or 3,000-mile warranty. And there's bank rate financing for everyone. Make this your best year with a quality SUV from Second Chance Auto. Route 142 East in Mount Vernon. Call 244-4582.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend that time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, the entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician, physician assistant, or nurse practitioner within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com/faster to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
And back to the Saturday Sports Show. We welcome you, Chris Hugo with Mike Richardson and Jeff Crow in the Powerhouse, 3501 Broadway. Danny Zerwinski on assignment today. Glad to have you with us at the bottom of the hour on WMIX Mount Vernon. Also online today at WMIXsports.com. Saturday Sports Show is presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
Welcome to the program now. Jeff Lonnon, head coach of the Mount Vernon Lady Rams. Lady Rams are 10-1 on the year. Got a big win over Heron on Thursday night. Beat Marion on Tuesday, 2-0 for the week. Jeff Lonnon's team will head into Mascoutah this coming week, where they will meet Belleville West at 11:30 on Thursday. Coach Lonnon, good morning.
Good morning, Chris. How you doing?
You know, doing pretty good. How are you doing? 10-1 on the year, and I know you're going to be without your leading scorer for the rest of the season. Haley Lockhart, of course, suffering an injury, a season-ending injury, but somehow you've rallied to win 4 games in her absence, and you know what? Playing like a team that's 10-1, things are going pretty well right now, all things considered.
Oh my gosh! I'm just so happy for these guys. I mean, they work so hard, and then they have that devastating loss to their team, and then they pick right back up and win 4 in a row. So I mean, obviously, I'm really happy for the kids and for the start, and I'm just happy to hit the break here where we can have a couple days off and they can go do their thing a little bit and be a kid, and they're not having basketball 24/7. It seems like that first half is tough. Getting to Christmas break, and you kind of look forward to a couple of days off, and that's what we're kind of in the middle of right now. And we're just ready to get back at it when Christmas is over, and see if we can continue to pile on some more wins and work toward that regional.
Of course, as you guys go into Mascoutah next week, it's a 3-day tournament. You guys have Belleville West at 11:30. On Thursday. West, a team that I've heard has a player that's 6'5", so if anything, the game against Heron with those tall timbers down low might have helped prepare you a little bit for that game against Belleville West with that height advantage that they seem to have.
Yeah,
hold on. Do they really have a player that's 6'5"?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, she's 6'5", and in fact, she looks like she's about 6'7". I think they may have missed it by a couple inches. She's tall. She's tall, but she's not real. She's not really filled out. She's still kind of thin, and but listen, she's 6'5". Doesn't matter. I mean, when you're 6'5", I can't even imagine being 6'5". Girls basketball. And,
that's like Brian Gamber out there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Brian Gamber out there, and Hannah, who I think is a tall girl, is Hannah's probably 6 foot tall in shoes. I've never physically measured Hannah, but Hannah's a tall girl. But you're thinking about your tallest girl, and Natalie's a tall girl. Natalie's 5'11", 6 foot, but you're talking about a kid who women that come up to about their shoulders. So yeah, I mean that presents a problem. But I'll be really honest with you. What concerns me about West is more their guards. They've got some really good young guards. And the thing about West is really strange is they are really mostly sophomores, with the exception of that big center who is I believe a senior. They're a very, very young, super young varsity basketball team. And they've lost some games. I mean they're like 6-4, 6-3, something like that. Maybe 7-4, 7-3. I haven't looked lately, but the thing is like if you look at their scoring numbers, that big center is their 3rd leading scorer, not their 1st or their 2nd. You would think at 6'5", you could just stand in there and catch it and score 30 a night, but that's not happening for them. think teams are playing behind her, and I'm not real sure how good she is with her back to the basket, and catching it. So, I think there's ways you can play her defensively, and we're going to talk to Hannah about that on Monday, and our post kids, any post kid that has to come in and guard her, we're just going to talk to about how to stand, where we want her to catch it, where we don't want her to catch it. And I think if we do that, honestly, I'm not really that concerned. Now, that may be completely stupid for me to say that, because she may go off for 30 now that I said that. That's usually what happens. But, knock on wood, that doesn't happen. And then we got to I think, do a really good job on their guards, because they've got some really super young guards.
Now, is this... I don't want to say that it's not hard for me to believe there is a woman out there that's 6'5", because obviously there are some very tall women on God's earth. But, I mean, I'm looking at the roster right now. You have a bunch of 5'6", 5'8", some 5'5", some 5'9", some 5'7". Are these basketball heights? I know you got to see them last night against O'Fallon. Are these like just roster heights, or are these legit tall players out there?
No. What you're seeing is what you'll get. I mean, their guards are, I mean, they're 5'8"-ish, I mean, and then there's 6'5" running around amongst the other 9 out there, and that obviously stands out. You can't miss her. I can promise you that. And I welcome the challenge. I really do. There's just Heron for us was. I told Lance this after the game. I said the teams that probably have shown to give us the most problems here in the first half are kids who have really good size, who get you in a half-court game. In other words, when I say a half-court game, I mean the transition is minimal. Every time you're setting up and having to run something, run a set, run an offense, and it's more of a deliberate approach to playing a basketball game. And when teams can get us in that type of game and then have us kind of out-muscled and outsized, at a couple spots. Rarely are we outsized in the post. Just the isolated post matchup. We've got some kids like Hannah or Nat or whoever who are fairly good size who can match up with the team's biggest player. But listen, most teams just have one. This is most teams, not all, but most teams we've played in the first half have had just one big post player. So we've been able to go ahead and match that up, and then our guards match up fine, and then we're okay. It's when an opposition has that second and third, big body out there, is when we have just really struggled. And if you look at it, Heron and Nashville, by far, were those, stand out to me in my mind. Now, Cahokia had a couple, but they just don't play half-court basketball. They just want to run. So they don't really use those big kids like Nashville and Heron did. So, this is a West team who kind of has that same type of makeup. And, so we got to go out there just much like we did against Heron and just find a way to play, just hold them down as much as we can and then score enough points to win, even though probably on paper, we're undersized and we don't match up very well within some of our matchups.
Well, of course, and then depending upon what happens in that one, you get either Centralia JV or Nashville the next day. And, we've talked about this on and off for the week. It's never easy to prepare against a JV team, especially if you think you're playing a varsity team. But, I mean, other than that, it's a precarious position for Nashville. Obviously, you assume that Nashville's going to win big and move on, but it's never pleasant to have to play a JV team in a tournament. No. I'd rather just win the first game and then play Nashville. It's too bad, and for everybody, it's too bad that that hole got created, and then those poor kids had to step in there, and I admire the fact that Coach Stieg, put his second team up there in that tournament to kind of save the tournament from having to have a bye sitting in there. That was really good. I think that now we have a full tournament and all that, but at the same time, hey, if you end up playing them, I think there's
ton of pressure on you and absolutely none on them, because not one person on the face of the earth would think that a JV team would step in there and compete or win in a tournament like that. So my hat's off to Centralia and putting their second team in there, and we just want to avoid that scenario. To be honest with you, we would like to just continue to win our first game, and then get Nashville again and play. We're not. This is a great term for us. Win, lose, or draw. This is going to be good for us because these are the best teams in Southern Illinois, and down the stretch we're going to need. I thought that game against Heron was good for us. Because we'd been winning by 10 or 12 or 15, and we weren't blowing people out, but at the same time, we needed a game that came down to the stretch where we had to come together and find a way to win. Those are the games that kind of build your chemistry and your closeness within the team and your trust. So, as we go to this tournament, these are the types of games we'll have to play, if we're going to stay on the winner side anyway, to advance. We're going to have some plays made, down the stretch in the last 2 or 3 minutes when games are close, because there's no blowouts involved in this tournament. We just want to try to win that first game and avoid going over to the loser side. And no matter whether it's the JV from Centralia or whether it's someone else on that side, Althoff and Highland are up there in that bracket. One of those teams are going to go to the loser side. So we've got some work cut out for us there, and we'll do the best we can. And regardless of the result, we won't put too much weight on it because it's just a neat tournament to play with great competition as a whole in general, and it'll make us better down the stretch, I hope. We've got to stay healthy.
Of course, Lana, before we let you go before the holidays, our WMIX sports question this week, Christmas theme. Do you prefer a real Christmas tree or a fake Christmas tree or none at all?
Fake.
Really?
Yeah, fake. Yeah, because you can just throw it in the attic. And then you can come back to the next year and just dig it out and put it back up. And the other thing is I really hate to vacuum and sweep. So, this would cause a lot of issues with vacuum and sweeping because, they shed on the ground, on the floor. And, that's 30 minutes of my life that, I'd rather spend, doing something else. So the artificial tree is a big staple for me. And, it fits neatly in the attic. It comes down, it goes back up, and it's not big. It's very small. You could probably pick it up and put it maybe in, like, the cabinet if you needed to, if you had to, really run out of attic space. It's really small, or the closet. So, I'm all about just artificial.
There you go. Jeff Lonnon, we wish you a Merry Christmas, of course, here from the Saturday Sports Show, and look forward to seeing you again soon, sometime after the holiday tournaments.
Okay, Chris, thanks for calling. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Jeff Lonnon prefers a fake tree because you can throw it in the attic. Chime in on Facebook, facebook.com/WMIX Sports, or on Twitter. Do you prefer a fake, artificial, I guess would be the more sensitive term to use, a real or artificial tree this holiday season? Or do you not have a tree at all? And if so, what do you use as a centerpiece of your holiday decor?
And somebody who calls in or on Facebook does the real tree, do you cut a tree yourself, or do you buy a bald tree where you can replant?
That's a good call. That's outside the box thinking.
That is. That's thinking. That's
Sean Docherty of the Mount Vernon Rams Wrestling still to come. Of course, we'll talk about the Bomber Classic coming up for the Rams wrestlers. Coming up here on the Saturday Sports Show, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
What's on your wish list this holiday season? A new smartphone? A swimming pool? Gift cards? How about a new 2013 Lincoln MKX? Hi, Roy Schmidt, Lincoln dealer at Ford Square, Mount Vernon. With the Lincoln Wish List sales event, we have over 30 brand new MKXs in stock and ready to become the perfect gift this holiday season. Best-in-class fuel economy, leather interior with refined elegance, and available bliss with cross-traffic alert make this the perfect toy for anyone who enjoys luxury. With a dealer discount of $2,500, it's like Black Friday savings without all the lines and getting up early. come see one of our associates to see how easy it is to save on a new Lincoln MKX at Ford Square, 1501 Broadway, Mount Vernon, or online at fordsquare.com. And find us on Facebook.
Frosty the Snowman was a jolly happy soul with a corn cob pipe and a button.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. Glad to have you, courtesy of Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Mount Vernon Rams Wrestling will head to Argenta over the holidays for the Bomber Classic to talk about that, of course, and how the Rams season has gone thus far. We welcome Rams Wrestling coach Sean Docherty. Doc, good morning.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
You know what, doing pretty good. Get to talk some wrestling here. Of course, I know over the past week, I believe it was Tuesday night, the Rams battled Marion, of course, lost by 2. They were edged by the Wildcats. You guys will have a South 7 rematch a little bit later on, but tell us a little bit about how that one went. Usually it seems like you don't see matches that close at the dual level.
It depends on the teams. I mean, yeah, you'll see... well, with wrestling, the scoring is kind of it's weird compared to every other sport. You know, basketball you get 2 for making a shot. Football you get 6 for touchdown, but you can easily make it back. So I guess wrestling is probably closer to that. But there's, you know, if you win by so many points, you might get 3 points, you might get 4, you might get 5, you might get 6 if you pin a kid. So the scores can be kind of misleading on how tight a duel is. Just like whenever we had our dual meet with West Frankfort, it was actually closer, I thought, than what the score indicated. Whenever we wrestled Heron, I mean, the score sounded good, but if you're actually at the meet, you're going, man, that was a good dual meet. That's pretty tight. And it was the same deal with Marion. Like I said, we were leading going into the last 2 matches, and just couldn't get the job done. And it was kind of one of those deals. It was almost a reverse of what happened to Heron for us. We won the last 2 there, and we lost the last 2 at home. And like I told the kids, like it's not those last 2 that made the difference. And that's one thing we really started to concentrate on this week, and we've been working on it all year, is taking care, winning big in dual meets and losing small, and trying to get the points back in our direction. As a matter of fact, one of the weird things about that Marion duel, we won 8 out of the 14 matches. We won 8, they won 6. The only problem was we only had 2 pins and they had 5. Oh. So that kind of swings the points back to them.
Of course, the last time we talked to you guys had just gotten that big win over Belleville East, and it seems like everything I read a lot of ink about the Vosbergs, and their season seems to be going well thus far, in addition to quite a few others.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what, those 2 boys, they have really dedicated their lives to making themselves better at wrestling, and in that, the thing I like about it is that they've learned how to focus on things, not just wrestling, but just life in general. I've seen a big change in Alex Vosberg. He's my senior, one of my captains, and just the attitude he has about life, about how he's supposed to behave as a young man in this world, has changed dramatically. And I think a lot of that has been because of wrestling and because of that dedication he's put into it. Chase is the same way. He's talking about he's wanting to serve in the military. Whenever he gets out of high school, he wants to kind of follow in his big brother Nick Vosberg's footsteps and join the Army and do what he can to help out the United States. So, I mean, you can't ask for 2 better kids, and I'm very happy and thankful that they're having the good season that they are so far.
Of course, and this good season continues into the Bomber Classic next week over the holidays, and we're kind of talking about it via text message. This is a tournament the Rams have been going to for quite some time, and then you run into some good 1A programs. Of course, Olney is another team from Central Illinois or from Southern Illinois that goes up there, but Argenta is located near Decatur, so it's a nice little travel. But from all indications, from what I've read in the past on Illinois Map Men, a pretty good 1A tournament and a good tournament for some 2A teams as well.
Yeah, we've got it's us, Decatur MacArthur, and Decatur Eisenhower, the only 2A schools that are in it. But I'll tell you what, the teams that are up there, the 1A teams, it doesn't matter what classification you are, those kids are good. I mean, The Argenta team is loaded. They've got strong kids up and down their lineup. They had 2 move-ins from Mount Zion, which is one of our rivals, one of our in 2A that we usually see in sectionals. They had 2 of their kids move in, so we know those guys pretty well and seeing what they can do. And it's not just Argenta. There's a ton of teams up there that are just good. And one of the reasons why people may be going, why are you driving all the way up there? That's you're looking at a 2.5, actually about 3.5 hour drive just to go to a tournament. But the thing is, we get to see different styles of wrestling, which people probably don't realize that there are different ways that you can do it. And but we get to see that Central Illinois, Northern Illinois style of wrestling. And the other thing is that the refereeing, it can be a little different. I don't know about basketball. I know football's pretty much the same wherever you go. But refereeing in wrestling, it's a lot of judgment calls, and it's a lot of what the ref sees. And if for some weird reason Northern Illinois and Central Illinois refs call things differently than they do down here, so it's really good for them to be exposed to that and get that opportunity.
Of course, over the years, a lot of teams have competed in it, even if they're not anymore. I mean, there's been some Cumberland teams that have gone up there and performed pretty well, some Benton Ranger teams that have gone up there and performed pretty well. But, you have Hoopston up there, Hoopston area, the Corn Jerkers, of course. You have El Paso, Erie, Illini Bluff, some of the tougher teams going up this year, of course, that we had talked about beforehand. But just a good tournament, and that's one of the things. And I think you hit the nail right on the head, is that sometimes it's important to get away and see different styles if you're going to be more successful deeper on. And for all indications, and you know what, and I've joined Illinois Mat Men just to try to get a better feel for wrestling and some of those circles, and there's a lot of respect for this tournament on that board.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I'll tell you what, that's one of the things you really hit on it, was we could stay down here and we could wrestle the same teams over and over again and really just not getting better. You stay where you're at, depending on your competition. That's one of the reasons why we go to the Mascout Invitational Tournament to wrestle Metro East kids. That's why we head up to Springfield for a quad up there. It's the reason why we go as far away as we can, because that's the ultimate goal. And that's what we always work on from the very first practice to the very last practice, is just getting better as wrestlers and as young men, and figuring out what we need to get done and what we need to learn in order to achieve the goals that each one of us has set.
Of course, Doc, I know you're a busy man and going to be busy over the holidays, of course, at the Bomber Classic, but our WMIX Sports social media question this week, we think it's kind of easy this time.
Uh-oh.
It's Christmas-related. Christmas trees, some of us prefer real, some of us prefer artificial, and there's even some of us that don't have one at all. Are you a real, fake, or no Christmas tree at all sort of guy?
Oh, gosh, yeah, this one's kind of a little bit of contention in my household. I like a live tree myself. My wife hates live trees. So, yes, we have an artificial tree at our house. I always lose out on that.
There's nothing wrong with that, because what I've been telling people is that we have a real tree. Didn't quite go that route this year. We actually just have kind of a small white fake tree in our front window, and that's the only Christmas tree to speak of in my house. So, I mean, we kind of dropped the ball this year, but...
Well, that works out.
Yes, it does. Merry Christmas, Doc. Good luck at Argenta, and please keep me updated if you don't mind.
I will. I definitely will. Thank you for having me on.
Always a pleasure. That's Sean Docherty, and just a hell of a guy to talk to, regardless of what you're talking to him about. Just one of those good guys in the nature of high school sports, and love to talk to Doc before football. Don't get to see him as much during wrestling, and on my end, I take the blame for that. So I need to get out there and try to get some Rams wrestling tweets going and try to get out to a match at some point. Anyhow, still plenty more holiday tournament talk to come here on the Saturday Sports Show, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
When we come back, we talk Sesser-Valier. This is the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX. Back after these.
With 2 new hospitals, trusted physicians, and dedicated staff, it's clear that our local healthcare industry is helping to make our community stronger every day. Hi, I'm Terry Prosize, a commercial lender and healthcare banking specialist at Community First Bank. I'm putting over 20 years of healthcare and business experience to work for our medical community and local businesses. Whether you have an expanding physician practice, an existing business, or hoping to start a new business, I have the financial prescription for you.
Community First Bank, with locations in Mount Vernon, Woodlawn, Dix, and Ina. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You've heard a lot about the new Good Samaritan Regional Health Center. about the cozy fireplaces in its patient areas, and about its numerous healing gardens and soothing nature-inspired artwork. Now that the new hospital is finished, you can finally see them for yourself. Good Samaritan is hosting tours of the new hospital on Saturday, January 5th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Sunday, January 6th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. This isn't your ordinary open house. It's the opportunity to get a behind-the-scenes glimpse of the brand-new Good Samaritan Regional Health Center before it's open to the public in late January. Come see an operating room from the point of view of the surgeon or the new expanded ER and all private patient rooms. Join us at the new facility just off Veterans Memorial Drive in Mount Vernon on January 5th and 6th for complimentary refreshments and to see how we're raising the bar for healthcare in Southern Illinois. You've never seen a hospital like this before. Visit smgsi.com to learn more.
Don't just dream about a better job. Go get it with scores of programs that take 2 years, 1 year, or even just a few months to complete. Rend Lake College is your gateway to a career you'll love. From nursing to coal mining, from computer programming to cosmetology, and everything in between. Rend Lake College is affordable, convenient, and ready to get you trained for your new job fast. Call us at 618-437-5321 or visit us at rlc.edu.
The streets are filled with Christmas cheer.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com. Glad to have you with us. Follow us on Twitter at WMIX Sports. We're also on Facebook, where you can answer this week's social media question of the week. Real? Fake? No Christmas tree. What do you have going on right now in your household? And if you don't want a Christmas tree, maybe you don't celebrate Christmas. Well, obviously we understand that. What do you have? Guess we'll find out on Facebook. Sesser-Valier Holiday Tournament gets started on the 26th. It's one of your 4-day varieties. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do next year, of course, with Christmas falling on a Wednesday. Are you going to, well, Thursday. What is Christmas on this year? Tuesday? I can't figure this stuff out. I'm having issues.
I have not put my list yet together myself, and I mean, I don't know what I'm waiting for. I've been off work now for a few days, but yeah, it's Tuesday because Monday's the Christmas Eve and the 24th.
So for a tournament like Sesser, next year's going to be interesting because you'll obviously, I'd assume you'd have to go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday into the following. Not good times.
Yeah, that's going to throw a little wrinkle in things.
As we take a look at the Sesser-Valier Holiday Tournament, of course, Woodlawn Cardinals are your number 1 seed. They will battle Alvarado at 6:30 on Wednesday night, the 26th. You have Goreville's your 2 seed, Waltonville's 3, Chester's your 4, Sparta's your 5. They only seed the top 8. Your 6 is Christopher. Johnston City is 7. While you're rounding out your seeding is New Athens. They get Sesser-Valier at 8 o'clock. The host team on Thursday. So really, Christopher will battle Vienna in the opening contest at 9. You have Waltonville ZR at 10:30. That game's on WMIX FM. Johnston City and Century at noon on Wednesday. I'm just going to say the date, 26th. I can't keep them straight. Goreville and Shawnee at 1:30 on the 26th. Chester, Marissa, Coulterville will open up the afternoon session at 3:30. And then you have Sparta Cobden at 5. Woodlawn Alvarado 6:30. New Athens Sesser at 8. You know, we say every year this one should play out to the seeds, and I would say that I don't see this one to be any different, but this one might have some upsets along the way.
The last game. I think that's, and we've seen New Athens play, and Kulik has got to start stepping up right now for Sesser, and, you know, they've got to find a way to get some shots to fall, and what better of a way to get their season started now is when you host a tournament of this caliber, and they know all the success they've had over the years with this tournament, and that fan base that they have at Sesser. I think everything plays out until that last game, and I can see Sesser definitely beating New Athens.
Well, easily. I mean, as a host team, you try to. And here's the realistic part of hosting a tournament. Obviously, you're not out to shaft anybody else,
right.
But you got to do what's going to get you a gate. Sure. And so you need to set yourself up with the one that's going to allow you to go right, or if you go left, you need to be kind of set up to where you're going to be. Basically, you've got to be set up to where you can play as late as possible and as many games as possible. So there's no reason to think that SV won't beat New Athens. But I think in most of the games, I think you kind of have to see a Christopher Waltonville matchup maybe in the quarterfinals. Johnson City Goreville. Obviously, in the quarterfinals, Chester-Sparta, Woodlawn-Sesser, I think, is what you're looking at there. There's going to be a lot of regional interest in that game. But there's no reason to think that all those teams aren't going to go to the right side of the bracket with, on paper, Sesser being an upset over New Athens.
And not only just looking at the first-round games, but now you just mentioned if everybody does go right that we're talking about, look at the automatic rivals that sets up in all four of those games. Christopher Waltonville, right there. They've been playing now forever, it seems like. Okay, you follow that up. Now Goreville switching to the Black Diamond. And now look with that matchup in Johnson City. Chester and Sparta, how many times have they played together?
Right.
And then you throw that bottom bracket now, Woodlawn and Sesser.
Oh, precisely.
Yeah.
And then taking a look at your possible semifinals, and at this point I'm just going to go by seeds. I'm not actually predicting. You could be looking at a Woodlawn or a Waltonville-Goreville semi. You could be looking at possibly a Woodlawn-Chester or Woodlawn-Sparta semi. And then, the championship game will be anybody's guess. If you go by seeds, it would be Woodlawn-Goreville and what some think could be a super sectional preview.
The team that I like, and this was been a game that played last year in Woodlawn's run in the Sesser tournament, this Chester team. So much youth last year, now a little more experienced, more games under their belt, a little more confidence. Sort of like a Jekyll and Hyde team, I've been told. Haven't seen them in person yet this year, but very athletic and they can do some very, very good things. But yeah, all these teams are going to have something to say about it. And there was a lot of talk, Woodlawn and Goreville, 1 and 2, that could easily be flip-flopped easily.
Sure.
But as
I know,
talented
I was
as both. Yeah, I was too.
But, a wise friend of mine told me, you have to look at strength of schedule there, and Woodlawn definitely plays a stronger schedule, especially early on, and D.C. was very right with that.
You get the strength of schedule, you look at success Woodlawn's had the last several years now in the holiday tournament, so it's bode well for them and Goreville as well. Todd Tripp's team's always going to be competitive, and they play well at Sesser. They really do, and it's set up for a couple of good shows here the last few years, so... But this tournament is just so much fun to watch. And then, in all fairness, when you get the teams that go to the left side of the bracket, it's like then in turn they turn around and have their own 8-team tournament right there. And that's competitive. And winning the consolation championship in this tournament is a big deal.
Right.
Because you've got to go through different areas of basketball, different size schools. You're going to play different people. And it is always a fun consolation ride for somebody here, and this year will be no different.
I really think if Sesser beats New Athens in that first round, New Athens will be your consolation champion. I just have a gut feeling about that one, or even vice versa.
Yeah, I do too.
I think the winner.
That's one of the best true 8-9 games because that's what it'd be 8-9. That's one of the true 8-9 matchups that's going to have a lot of interest. And hey. New Athens or Sesser playing at home, they're going to get that 8 o'clock slot for the crowd. That's a given. That's the way it should be. And that place will definitely be rocking that last game of that first night.
We'll see how it works out. Of course, you'll hear the Woodlawn and Waltonville games on the 26th on WMIX FM with audio on WMIXsports.com. I'm sure we'll try to find some more time to talk about Sesser before it's all said and done. Of course, we need to take a break on the Saturday Sports Show. When we come back, we will talk Centralia, Mater Dei, Muscuda with Mike McManus, of course, one of our voices on our sister station X95 and the Big 12-10, as well as the sports editor at the Morning Sentinel. Still to come here on the Saturday Sports Show, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
America is a nation on wheels. Everyone has at least one automobile. We use them for shopping, work, everything we do. But they can be a threat. Some accidents can't be prevented. Your professional Pekin Insurance Agency, Page Insurance on Crownview in Mount Vernon, can help protect you from a large financial loss when an accident happens. Call Page Insurance today at 242-7000 about low-cost auto insurance from Pekin Insurance. Ask them about the many money-saving discounts that are available. Depend on your hometown professionals.
Pekin Insurance.
The Saturday Sports Show lives here. AM 940 WMIX Mount Vernon. A free service from Withers Broadcasting.
It's the most special time of the year, so all the physicians and staff at the Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois want to take a moment to wish each and every one of you a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. They take pride in the fact that the Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois has provided exceptional service to their patients for over 35 years, gaining national and international recognition in the field of arthroscopy. The Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois at 4121 Veterans Memorial Drive, Mount Vernon.
How does Dale's Harley-Davidson in Mount Vernon stay the longest-running Harley dealer in Southern Illinois? How about free pickup and delivery and being the home of the $29.95 oil change? Plus, get financing as low as 1.5 APR, along with the best selection of certified pre-owned Harley-Davidsons. So now you know how Dale's Harley-Davidson stays number one. Dale's Harley-Davidson, open every day but Wednesday, just off of I-57 in Mount Vernon. Visit dales-hd.com and follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
It's the best time of year for the family. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show. WMIX, MyWithersRadio.com has evolved into WMIXSports.com, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
Got done talking about Sesser-Valier, of course, made me realize we need to get some more scores in after the top of the 9 o'clock hour. Don't forget, last night, some pivotal ball games before the holidays. The Mountford and Rams fell to Marion last night on WMIX-FM and WMIXSports.com, 54-45. Waltonville beat Crab Orchard 58-31. It was Centralia coming from behind to beat Carbondale 40-36. Harrisburg 59, Heron 36, a big win for the Bulldogs. They're 10-0. Benton beat West Frankfort in Ohio play last night, make that 45-42. It was Massac over Murphy, 47-37. Nashville beat Pinckneyville, 41-34. Sparta over Anna Jonesboro, 54-39. DuQuoin over Carterville, 48-46. Chester beats Alvarado, 68-32. It was Trico better than Christopher last night, 55-39. Meridian beats Paducah St. Mary's, 77-66. Mount Carmel over Washington Catholic, 56-28. It was Newton over Effingham St. Anthony, 74-43. EC over Clay City, that's Edwards County over Clay City, 67-50. It was Oblong, 101-37 over Martinsville. Columbia beat Carlisle last night, 44-40. Westglen edges Triad, 42-41. Jersey beats Highland by a dozen, 55-43. Freeburg beat Redbud last night, 57-37. Marquette beats Mount Olive, 70-11. It was Belleville East over Alton, 69-46. Granite City beats Collinsville, 66-62. Belleville West beats O'Fallon, 64-56. They actually had a boys-girls doubleheader last night. Civic over Marissa Coulterville. Why are they playing? 61-25. Girls basketball last night, of course, the Lady Aces of Mount Carmel and Tyra Buss beat Washington Catholic Indiana 81-18. Reciprocal there, 81-18. Civic Memorial over Roxana, 51-32. West girls beat O'Fallon, 53-48. And Breeze Central, or as I just prefer, Central beats Freeburg 58-39. Welcome to the program now, Mike McManus. Leo, good morning.
Good morning, Christopher.
One of my favorite times of the year, as you know, it's holiday tournament preview time. Centralia looks pretty stacked again this year. Belleville West, Salem, Mount Vernon, Oaklawn, Richards, Cahokia, Champaign Central, Effingham, Alton. The list goes on and on, but there's some new teams to the fold this year. A team out of Memphis and Blue Island Eisenhower come into the CHT to celebrate number 70.
Yeah, there's always there's been a little bit of a love affair with those schools out of Memphis through the years, and Raleigh Egypt High School, the Pharaohs, will pay a visit, their first ever visit. Their head coach, Dwayne Stokes, was the head coach at Memphis Craigmont in the late 90s when the Chiefs came up to play, and he had always wanted to get back. Well, he got out of coaching, got back in 3 years ago when the Raleigh Egypt job opened up, and has been on Lee Bennett's back ever since. Get me in this thing. I want to come to Centralia. They're a tradition-laden program. They've won multiple state titles and trophies. This year, kind of a rebuilding year for Raleigh Egypt. They're currently 4-7 on the year, but they will have one of the tournament's most highly sought-after, if not the most sought-after, college recruit, and a young man by the name of Fatad Lewis, a 6'7" junior. Offers on the table already from Missouri, Mississippi State, Ole Miss has shown interest, Auburn, Tennessee. I'm sure Kent Williams can tell you a little bit about this kid. But, yeah, they're in that 3:30 game. with McClure North, who's back after the one-year hiatus. And then Blue Island Eisenhower that you talked about, Chris, another coach who's very familiar with our tournament, Mike Curta, that was at Chicago Mount Carmel with Antoine Walker, Donovan McNabb and company. He won this title in 93. Well, 19 years later, he's back with a team that I really think people are going to get a kick out of watching. They run the Grinnell College offense, which basically means we're not going to guard. We're going to try and score 100 points, and hopefully that's enough. They'll substitute 5 guys every 40 seconds. A shot goes up 1 every 12 if it's done properly, and they should be a lot of fun to watch. In fact, Mike asked me, just out of curiosity, what is your tournament record for most threes taken in a game? And I said 40, and he said, we'll have that by halftime. So really looking forward to Mike Curta bringing down Blue Island Eisenhower.
Well, and this will be a different look at the Grinnell offense than what we had seen earlier to start the year, of course, at another tournament. But you take a look at the CHT number 70 this year, kind of somewhat of a milestone. I guess 75 would probably be a little bit more of an important milestone for this tournament. But some good matchups. Belleville West Salem, and of course, kind of has a different feel to it now with the tragedy that struck up there, of course, earlier in the week. And of course, as we said earlier, our sympathies to the community of Salem. But some good matchups. I look at Effingham Alton as a pretty good one. Another one that I like, or probably would have liked a little bit more in years past, would be Marist O'Fallon, but still on paper, you look at those two teams, you look at the tradition, that should be a pretty good one too at 6:15 on the 27th.
I really think it is. It's a rematch of a semifinal that was won last year by O'Fallon. Now, granted, O'Fallon is, I told Rick, a good friend of mine, Coach Gibson, I said, you're finally out of Division I players. You finally run out of terrific basketball players, and they're still not bad. They're a very young team. Marist, of course, with the 2 Division I signs. Lexus Williams is headed to Valparaiso. L.J. McIntosh is going to play at Texas Pan American. I don't know of anybody else that has 2 Division I guards signed in our tournament, and thus the reason why they're so highly thought of. They were a seeded team, the number 3 seed in the tournament, behind number 1 Cahokia and 2 Jacksonville. So they're going to be very good. That 2 o'clock game I really like a lot with Effingham and Alton. I really think that has a chance to be interesting. We know Effingham wants to play the way they play, and Alton, with their new head coach, Eric Smith, they want to force the issue a little bit and play a little more up-tempo. That could be a good one. 3:30 with McClure North and Raleigh, Egypt is going to be, if you like athletics, up and down basketball, just strap in, because it's going to be a wild up and down game, I have a feeling. And then at 9:15, how does Jacksonville? Now, granted, they've had 2 weeks to prepare, or at least start gathering information on a Blue Island Eisenhower team that really, even by their own coaches' standards, they're not a great basketball team. When they do what they do well, they're very hard to beat for anyone. However, the problem has been they haven't been doing it well. They're going through some turmoil. They have a young man by the name of Tyrone Terrell averaging more than 30 a game that will not be making the trip. So they're having to undergo some changes and do some things differently. But, the 10 o'clock game is appealing to me now as well. It wasn't at first, but I look forward to that Mount Vernon Oaklawn game at 10 in the morning. I think that has a chance to get, to be a close ball game. Oaklawn is a team that their talent doesn't match their record for whatever reason. From talking to their head coach, John Chappello, as well as some others in Chicago about them. There's something that just isn't clicking. If it does, they could be tough out. They came down here 7-2 last year and went 2-out and looked really bad, and now at 4-4, I really don't know what to expect from them at all, but I think that could be a good ballgame.
Well, and certainly hoping so, of course, is the Mount Vernon Rams. I look to make some noise, but I'm going to put you on the spot, Leo, like I do every single year. Who are some of your early favorites in this tournament? Obviously, Cahokia, I guess, would be the number 1 seed, might be a favorite, but who else?
Well, sure, I love Cahokia. I mean, why wouldn't you? And I know people that, they lost to Mount Vernon and they lost to Evansville. Well, Evansville Bossy has a kid who I believe just verbaled to Louisville, a guard who's extremely good by the name of Jawan Lyle. No shame in that loss. But after them, I'll tell you a team that's unseeded. that I think is going to cause people trouble, and that's McClure North. They just know how to win. They have two really good players. The guard, Zach Lindsay, I believe is his name, averages about 23 a game. Terrence Bush, a 6'6" kid, is averaging about 20. They just get things done. They have, if my memory serves correctly, they've gone 12-0 in their last 12 games in Illinois. They won the Carbondale tournament in 09. They won Centralia in 10. They won Collinsville in 11. This is a whole new group, literally and figuratively. He had graduated 10 players from a year ago, and a couple of kids matriculated into McClure North that were at other places, which made them even better, the Lindsay kid included, as an MCDS transfer. I think McClure North is going to give folks all they want. Now, I could be way off. Raleigh Egypt could get them in the first round, but I like that McClure North group to really cause trouble. And, you know, you never throw money against the home team in this one, and it's been a decade since the Orphans have won it. You know, you've seen flashes of, wow, they can play really well, or you can put in the DVD from last night. Just did not shoot the ball well, but when they shoot it well, they tend to fare well, as most teams do, but maybe even more so for them. They almost have to shoot well to win in most circumstances. But if you're going to put me on the spot, that Jacksonville team, a lot of people are still trying to figure out why they're the 2 seed. Well, they just keep beating everybody they play, Chris, and they're big. They're real big. They're going to go 6'6" at the point, with 6'6" and 6'6" under the basket, and 6'4" on a wing and 6'3" on a wing. So they're going to be a very tough out. Their only loss is to Crete Monet. That came in a shootout in Springfield. They've beaten Lincoln. They've beaten Alton. They've beaten O'Fallon. They've beaten Chatham Glenwood. J.R. Dugan's got a real good ball club in Jacksonville. But if Cahokia, I guess in summary, if Cahokia doesn't win this tournament, I'll be surprised.
Well, I think a lot of us would. Bossy, I like to tell people, if you wrap the tradition of Centralia and the tradition of Peoria Manual into one, it seems like you have Evansville Bossy by looking at what they've done in Indiana.
Yeah, they're good. That's a great program.
In the past. Of course, taking a look now at modern day, I know you're very familiar with Clinton County. That's another good tournament in terms of county upper echelon of 1A and, of course, some of your 2A programs. But kind of taking a look at what they have in this tournament, you have a team out of Florida in Timber Creek. I think you have... oh my gosh, the team out of the blind side, I think, isn't it? Briarcrest out at near Memphis.
Yeah, Timber Creek did not come back this year.
Okay.
Briarcrest out of Memphis, where Michael Orr, the movie The Blind Side, that's in, and they've got a returning Mr. Basketball in the state of Tennessee and Austin Nichols. They're the number 1 seed, and you know, who knows? We've seen Tennessee teams come up to Centralia. You think, no way in the world anybody can beat them. The team I like over there, you know, that I really like, that I think is going to cause people fits, and maybe I'm way off. I love what John Krause is doing at Oakville. And they're athletic. They can shoot the basketball. They shoot the 3 extremely well, with Hensler, with Leakey, with a lot of those kids that can really shoot it. I think Oakville can cause trouble. I saw Breeze Central the other night, was impressed with what they can do on the interior. They have a really good point guard in Jake Timmerman. They're going to be a handful. And Carlisle's down there in the bottom half of the draw. They're a good basketball team. Sacred Heart, the 2 seed, a pretty good club. Modern Day is starting to find itself here just in time to host this thing, a team that can really shoot the 3, but very young. Nashville plays great defense, and they're big, and their size will be problems for people. They're real big everywhere. So they could be a handful for folks. This is the first time to me, Chris, that tournament the last 4 or 5 years, you don't circle a team immediately and say, there's your winner. This one's going to play out all the way through pool play. Don't be surprised if Dennis Tromey has to get out the abacus and work a few tiebreakers to figure out who wins the pool.
Well, and I have to laugh because I actually got the 2012 pairings printed out, but I accidentally somehow must have gone to the 2011 thread on IHSS and got the seat because it has Nashville ranked number 10 and it still has Timber Creek and Jersey. So I actually have a kind of a hybrid paper of right and wrong here. But you know what? It looks like a good tournament at Modern Day, and Briarcrest I think is a big pickup. And you know, SHG comes down for another year, but they keep a lot of local interest in it. And you know, I love Centralia. I think there's some other tournaments around Collinsville that are great, but Mater Dei just seems to capitalize on that field between Washington, the Tri-County area of Washington, Clinton, and St. Clair, and they do a great job with it.
They do, and you know, that used to be a bracketed 16-team tournament way back in the day, and people started going elsewhere. You had more tournaments pop up, and they've done a good job. And the key to their tournament has been, we've got to have local gates. We've got to have 100 folks from Oakville and, you know, 200, 150 from Nashville to keep that tournament going. They, as well, Chris, and I think we've seen it with other tournaments, and I'm speaking largely of Carbondale. Centralia is a special place because the folks will come watch a team from Florissant, Missouri. They'll come watch a team from Chicago. That's not always the case in other towns, and I love the different styles. I know a lot of people said, you know, let's get Highland and let's get these things. You know what? I think with Centralia, Mount Vernon, Salem, mix in Effingham, and then throw in the Metro East teams that we have with West, O'Fallon, Alton, and Cahokia. You largely got 8 local teams, and then you have 8 invaders that come from all points, you know, from wherever on the globe. It's been Miami, Florida. It's been Kentucky. They've come from all over, from Chicago, from Springfield, from Peoria in the past. They've come from everywhere. It's hard in a lot of communities to sell non-local teams. It's not here. The folks will come out and they will watch and be, you know, be fanatical about, you know, all of a sudden somebody watches. I can remember, for example, a few years ago, somebody watched Memphis Craigmont after one game when they had Tarico White, who's now in the NBA, and they, oh my goodness, there's your champion right there. They're going to win this thing, right? You know, they got beat the next round by Chicago State. Everybody becomes an expert on these out-of-state teams in a hurry. I mean, you see them one time and you think they're world beaters, and then the next time around maybe they're not so good. But and I think that's part of the allure of our tournament, is that we give you that good mix of the home teams with, you know, Centralia, Mount Vernon, Salem, those metro teams that normally will travel pretty well. And then we give you those out-of-area teams that you don't know anything about, but you know they're here for a reason. I mean, you know, most of the teams that come from out of the area generally tend to fare. Now, they don't win it. Only one of them's won it. That was McClure North. But they generally come and give themselves a pretty good representation.
Well, and of course, taking a look now, going a little bit further west to Mascoutah, a great girls basketball tournament there. Of course, you have Belleville East and Freeburg, Highland, Altoff, Belleville West, Mount Vernon, Nashville, Oakville, Centralia, Mater Dei, O'Fallon, Mascoutah, Carbondale, Bree Central, I believe, and Northwest, whatever. Another good girls basketball tournament. Unfortunately, it's kind of fallen victim to half and a half the JV team. So Roger Steeg's JV Annies will head and play Wayne Harry's Nashville Hornets at 1 o'clock on the 27th. But that aside, still a good girls basketball tournament.
You know, Chris, all I needed to know about Mascoutah this year was they projected a semi of Mater Dei and Central. That was good enough for me. That those are the 2 and 3 seeds in their tournament. The team, a lot of people in Bree Central think can win a 2A state title. A lot of people think the same about Nashville. Mater Dei has emerged to me, in my eye, as the premier 3A team in Southern Illinois. With, you know, that hasn't had to deal with injuries and those types of things. I thought Mount Vernon got a horrible draw. I'll say it for Jeff Lonnon. If he didn't say it, I will. Belleville West is pretty good, and I thought Mount Vernon maybe didn't get the respect I feel they deserve. They're the only team that's really given Nashville much of a game for any extended period of time. I thought they deserved better than what they got. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm totally wrong.
Not at all.
You know, the JV issue came up when Riverview Gardens, the former AD had signed a contract that the new AD didn't find. So, and then Carlisle dropped, which shocked me. Carlisle's been at the Mascoutah tournament forever, and they dropped, and that really kind of shocked me. But they gave fair warning, and that's where that Northwest Academy team out of St. Louis came into play. But, boy, you've got Nashville, Mater Dei, Bree Central, Mount Vernon. What a tournament. I mean, it's the premier girls tournament in Southern Illinois until we all go to Highland in a month.
You betcha. And you know, you take a look at it, Nashville probably the odds-on favorite, especially out of the top bracket. But you know, a modern-day Central semi would be a dandy, and the winner of that maybe taking on Nashville in the championship game would be incredible. But obviously, a lot of rooting interest here in the Mount Vernon Lady Rams, and most of that rooting interest would agree with you about the draw for Jeff Lonnon. And sucks is about all you can say.
Yeah, I just don't understand it. You know, and I know, believe me, as someone who tries to help pair a tournament, you only have 16 pieces in a puzzle, and that puzzle can only fit a few ways. The one thing we try to do is keep, if teams have played each other already this season, they don't see each other in the first round. Teams obviously in the same conference, we've kind of had an unwritten rule. They don't match up until the semis at the very earliest. And you try to do those things, A, to keep people happy, but B, I mean, why would, for example, and we had this happen it's been several years ago, it should have never happened. Two public league teams from the same division played each other in the quarters. That can't, you know, that was a mistake. That shouldn't have happened. But it's hard to keep everybody happy, and sometimes certain pieces only fit in certain spots. I know, for example, Burbank, St. Lawrence, and Blue Island are just down the road from one another, and the potential looms for them to play in Centralia in the second round. Mount Vernon and Salem have already played one another. The potential does loom. It's possible that those two can find one another, and not only find one another, but, you know, at breakfast time, and we don't want that. Hopefully we can get away from that. But sometimes that puzzle only snaps together in certain ways, and it's hard, believe me. I thought this was easy. You just figure out who the four, you know, and then you say, well, those teams play each other the first game after Christmas. We want to keep them away from one another. You just try to do that as best you can, and with 4 teams from one conference and 3 from another, sometimes it gets pretty difficult to do. But I look at our tournament, and I thought it was seeded fairly. I think we've got some really good first-round matchups, and we've got a couple that probably won't be so good. You know, Cahokia Champaign Central probably won't be a good ball game. It could be, but I don't think it will be. Nor do I think that, you know, Centralia and Burbank may be the greatest, most appealing matchup in the world. But, you know, there's more to it than let's seed this thing as fairly as we can and let the chips fall where they may. You've got to. It's called the Centralia Holiday Tournament for a reason, and to be honest, at 7-3 now, I think the Orphans are certainly worthy of their first-round opponent.
Of course, Leo, the last thing we do with every interview is the WMIX Sports Question of the Week, and this week it's Christmas-related, of course. Are you a real Christmas tree guy, or do you go the artificial route?
I have the Festivus pole.
Nice.
No, I'm joking.
You should.
No,
it's okay to have both.
I've got a lot of problems with you people. No, we are, my wife and I, and I'm sitting here staring at it right now. It is one of the most beautiful fake trees you'll ever want to see. It's a thing of beauty. It's a 7-foot fake fir and Douglas fir, and it's gorgeous. And she spends a lot of effort and time getting it as beautiful as it is. And it's right inside our living room window, and you know, the folks come through, and, you know, if they're not throwing trash in our yard, then maybe they're taking a shot at trying to get something through the window. But it's a beautiful tree. So we are fake, and I've always been a faker. Mom and Dad were fakes. I've been a fake since in my adulthood, so we just tend to go the fake route.
Leo, awesome. Merry Christmas to you and Jill, of course, and your family, and we will see you. I don't know the days of the week. I can't keep the darn thing straight. I'll see
December the 27th on Thursday morning.
There we go. It's a Thursday. That works enough for me.
We'll be there with our jingle bells on. Have a good holiday, buddy.
You too. That's Mike McManus of the Morning Sentinel and the Big 1210 and X95. We'll take a break, come back with Andy Sloan slightly behind, but that's okay. We'll catch up quickly. Here on the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com. It's more than hospital.
What healthcare should be.
That's Crossroads Community Hospital. Back after these.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend that time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, the entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician, physician assistant, or nurse practitioner within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com/faster to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
The state of denial is a drag and a trial. When I bought my cheap insurance, should have known this day would come. Now I've had an accident and I'm feeling quite alone. Called them at least 20 times, but they won't pick up the phone. Without personal service, my policy's kinda worthless. Get to a better state, State Farm.
Don't deny yourself to call an agent. Tony Wilt in Mount Vernon, 242-1421.
Have a holly jolly Christmas, and in case you didn't hear, oh by golly, have a holly jolly Christmas this year.
Of course, running slightly behind here on the Saturday Sports Show. Our apologies to our guests who are tuned in. We'll get caught up here in just a moment. Of course, Andy Sloan set to join us here in just a moment for the Benton Rangerettes Christmas Classic. That'll take place starting on the 27th. It's round-robin play. Taking a quick gander, though, at Fairfield Girls Tournament. Yes, Fairfield now hosts a holiday tournament as well on the girls' side. Pool play. Pool A is Christ Our Rock Lutheran, Fairfield, Robinson, and Sandoval. Pool B is Carmi White County, Flora, North Posey out of Indiana, and Wayne City. They'll play pool play with 2 sessions on Thursday and Friday, and the pool play championships will be on the 29th. Of course, Fairfield and Robinson will start it off at 10:30. Intriguing matchup is Flora Wayne City at 1:30, of course, on the girls' side, not to mention Christ Our Rock and Sandoval. They play quite a bit already. They'll take an intermission, then most teams will play again Thursday evening. Carmi North Posey at 4 o'clock, Robinson Christ Our Rock at 5:30, and Sandoval Fairfield at 7 o'clock on Thursday the 27th. On Friday, December the 28th, it'll be opened up. Flora Carmi at 10:30. Noon, it'll be North Posey and Wayne City, followed by Fairfield and Christ Our Rock. An intermission followed by Robinson Sandoval, Carmi Wayne City. That should be a dandy. And Flora North Posey. And then Saturday, of course, it's set up by your pool. 7th place game will be Pool A4 versus Pool B for the 4th place finisher, followed by the 5th place game, 3rd place game, and championship. And a nice little tournament they put together in Fairfield. Some representation from White, Clay, Marion, Clark, make that Crawford, and Posey County in Indiana. Of course, a lot of great counties in Illinois are represented in that one at Fairfield. Of course, our interest in that one obviously lies in our backyard. Wayne City Lady Indians, Sandoval Lady Hawks, Fairfield Lady Mules, Christ Our Rock Lady Silver Stallions. We have a pretty big backyard, so just about everybody in there falls in that one, of course, with the WMIX coverage area. Of course, Andy Sloan, will try to catch up with him a little later on. We're going to go ahead and take a break. We'll come back, get caught up, talk El Dorado with Jeffrey Drake. Jeffrey's the voice of the Harrisburg Bulldogs on sister station WEBQ. Also, coincidentally, the news director, he's only one, on sister stations, multiple of them, Q106, Wish FM, and the legendary WMCL. We'll talk with Jeffrey Drake after the break. That rhymes, not a poet. Saturday Sports Show is presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Do you farm or operate an agriculture-based business? Then Community First Bank is for you. Hi, I'm Steve Down, Agribusiness Lending Officer at Community First Bank. With our roots firmly planted in Jefferson County, we offer the stability, strength, and personal attention that you deserve. Community First Bank wants to be your financial partner with customized products for both your personal and farm banking needs. Stop by any of our 5 convenient Jefferson County locations to see how we can help your business grow.
Community First Bank with locations in Mount Vernon, Woodlawn, Dix, and Ina. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Learn to live healthy, learn to live well, and learn how you can live free from unexpected medical expense with a major medical expense policy from Pekin Insurance and the Page Agency. Health insurance that covers hospital, medical, and surgical expenses offers a wide choice of deductibles and a non-tobacco user discount, too. Rising medical costs don't have to be a problem with a major medical expense policy from Pekin Insurance. This is coverage we hope you'll never need, but you just can't be without. Call the Page Agency at 242-7000 about a major medical health insurance plan today.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend that time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, the entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician, physician assistant, or nurse practitioner within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com/faster to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. I love you. I love you.
And back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. Bottom of the hour on WMIX Mount Vernon, a free service from Withers Broadcasting. The Saturday Sports Show, of course, always presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Glad to have you aboard. We're also glad to have Jeffrey Drake, of course, voice of the Harrisburg Bulldogs on sister station WEBQ. We've described him also as the news director of sister stations Q106, Wish FM, and the legendary WMCL. Jeffrey Drake, good morning.
Good morning, Chris. How are you today?
You know what, doing pretty good. Talking a little bit about El Dorado, one of our favorite places on the face of this earth. They have the 48th annual EHT going on this coming week, and you know, you take a look at the pairings up and down, and obviously we mean no disrespect. I'll go ahead and make this point. I know you may not be able to make the same point. Looks like it's Harrisburg and everybody else.
I certainly think Harrisburg would come in as more than a heavy favorite, but I think last night they got a little bit of a scare in the first half at home with Heron, and a Heron team that's something like 3-6 now, and they're the 6th seed, so you know the Tigers might make a little noise over there. Gallatin County, the team Harrisburg beat to open the season. Harrisburg ended up winning that game against Gallatin County by 17, but it was a 5-point game going into the fourth quarter. You got some good competition over there. Meridian's going to be good. They're the 3 seed, so they could play Gallatin in the semifinal. The Union County, Kentucky team is a newcomer to the tournament at El Dorado. They're a 4 seed. I think going into last night they were something like 7-2. Massack's a 5 seed, so that could be an interesting 4-5 quarterfinal matchup. So, you know, I think there's a few teams that could possibly challenge Harrisburg on that last day, but Harrisburg's won 2 in a row, and I would say they're maybe a little bit of a safer bet to make it 3, but you got to win 4 games in 3 days, and that's never easy.
Well, never easy indeed. Of course, Harrisburg the one. Gallatin County kind of gave Harrisburg somewhat of a run in the Harrisburg tournament, though it ended up being a 17-point loss for GC. Harrisburg, of course, was missing, I think, a bulk of their football talent, and that's quite a few kids at that time. But it's quite a distance between number 1 and number 2 in that tournament. But you take a look at everybody else aside from Harrisburg, the rest of the tournament's pretty competitive.
I agree. I think 2 through 5 or 6, it doesn't matter. You could maybe flip a coin and you'll see. But that Gallatin game, that was about a week after Harrisburg had finished that deep football run to the 4A semifinals. Then Gallatin came out. Neither team shot really well. That was the Hawks' first game, too. But that's Gallatin's only loss. But they've had a long layoff. They'll have over a week and a half off between games in the holiday tournament, so that could be interesting. And they could possibly end up playing El Dorado in the second round or getting Meridian or Heron in the semifinals and having to come back and play Harrisburg. If you play Meridian and Harrisburg back-to-back within a matter of hours on that final day at El Dorado, they would have earned a championship at the EHT. But I mean, the Hawks had a very convincing win over Goreville by 1 point at the Saluki shootout a couple weekends ago in Carbondale. So, you know, they're very good. They got Andrew Drone, the 6'11" senior center who's going to Rice. And they got a couple other seniors around, and Patrick Lowe's a very good player. So, you know, Radar Patton and the Hawks have probably as good a chance of anybody to maybe pull a few upsets over there and win a big trophy.
Well, and of course, talking about the trophies at El Dorado, not the easiest tournament on the face of the earth if you play in the morning. Obviously, the losers on the first day of 8:30 and 10 o'clock have to come back late that night in the consolation bracket, but it's always interesting. You play at 10 p.m., you might play twice in a day, but the disadvantage is if you lose, but the key there is to win. You don't have to play in that 10 o'clock game on the 27th.
Yeah, you got Union County, Kentucky, and Carrier Mills opening up at 8:30 on the first day, and then Massac and McLeansboro play the second game. So those 2 losers will come back and play at 10 o'clock that first night, so one of those teams will be out of it. But they squeezed 26 games into 3 days. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday this year. 9 games the first 2 days and 8 games the second. It's a very well-run machine at El Dorado. They've been doing it for a long time, for 48 years, and back to the Harrisburg side of things, going into a few years ago, Harrisburg had lost 8 or 9 championship games in a row, but the Bulldogs' fortunes have changed. Fortunately, if you're a Harrisburg fan, the last 2 years, they won a very close game with Massac County 2 years ago in the championship, and last year beat Heron late by a point. So they're trying to make it 3 in a row, and that's only been done one other time at El Dorado, and that was the Reed Jackson teams with NCOE in the late 1980s.
Well, and of course at El Dorado you have a couple of teams. Heron now is 3A, came into this tournament before being forced up into 3A with some of the changes the IHSA made with multiplication waivers and even distribution of the 4-class system. Harrisburg, a possible 3A team next year. Obviously that's not certain yet, but if you went by this year's numbers, it's quite possible that that could evolve next year. Any possible changes to this tournament? Any kind of swirling rumors possibly going around about some teams coming out, or is this arrangement pretty stable?
You know, they're going to have teams that probably want to get in El Dorado. Polk County left this year, and Union County, I think, was a good get that nobody really knows a ton about. They're right over that Shawneetown Bridge, so they're 7-2. That's a good 4 seed that's in the tournament, probably strengthen the field a little bit. I know Heron had talked about maybe getting out after last year, but they, I think, seem to like it okay. You know, you don't want to water it down too much, but I think you've got some quality River teams and some good Black Diamond teams, and this year a very good Gallatin County team out of the GEC. We'll see what happens. And back to the 2A, 3A thing, you're right, Harrisburg very fortunate this year to be 2A, at least in terms of the postseason, because I know they were sweating that out this summer. If they could certainly make a little bit more of a deeper run of the sectional, super sectional state tournament, whatever. As being 2A and not 3A, like an Alton Marquette getting bumped up and a Massac and an Alma getting bumped up to 3A. But I was talking to some officials down in Massac County, and they think Murfreesboro's enrollment right now is higher than Massac, so there's a Murfreesboro team that's 2A this year that could possibly be 3A. You're really just seeing the landscape kind of change with a lot of these teams that could see some Mount Vernon and some Marions and some Carbondales in the postseason in 3A.
It'll definitely be interesting. Jeffrey, our final question, of course, the WMIX Sports Question of the Week. You're somewhat familiar with it by now. It's off topic. Of course, we're going the Christmas route. You're a newlywed. In your house, do you have a Christmas tree? If so, is it real, fake? What do you got?
My wife she's big time in the Christmas spirit. She's actually got 3 different trees. None of them are green, though. They're all different colors. The one we got up now is, I think it's all purple and white and black. So we got some Harrisburg Bulldog flavor going with it. We got 2 Bulldogs ourselves, so we've got it kind of set up on a little bit of a table so they don't try to jump up on it. Of course, Bulldogs aren't the most agile of canines, but yeah, getting into Christmas spirit a little bit. And of course, the holidays are a special time for family, and then right after that, you kind of switch gears and head right into basketball. So it's certainly one of the more fun times of the year for me.
Yes, it is. Jeffrey, Merry Christmas to you and Hannah, and of course, we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Chris. Have a good holiday, and good luck in Centralia and Sesser with all your coverage.
Thank you very much. Jeffrey Drake, of course, voice of the Bulldogs on Harrisburg's WEBQ. Also news director for us down at the cluster in Benton. We need to take a break on the Saturday Sports Show. When we come back, we will go ahead and... let's go ahead and take a break. We'll catch up with Andy Sloan, quickly talk Benton Rangerettes Christmas Classic here on the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX and WMIXsports.com. We're back after these.
Hi, this is Taylor,
Kevin,
Monica, Nina from People's National Bank in Mount Vernon. All of us at People's National Bank would like to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We truly appreciate our customers and consider each and every one of you to be part of the People's National Bank family. So from our family to yours, Happy Holidays!
People's National Bank, serving Southern Illinois since 1909. Member FDIC.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend that time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, the entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician, physician assistant, or nurse practitioner within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com/faster to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. Presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Welcome to the program, Andy Sloan, head coach of the Benton Rangerettes. His team, of course, off to a hot start, but they get to host their own Christmas Classic. The Rangerettes Christmas Classic gets started on the 27th. Coach Sloan, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
You know what, doing pretty good. holiday season is upon us. That means holiday basketball coming. And, of course, the Rangerettes host the Christmas Classic every year. Your first year as head coach of the Benton Rangerettes, you kind of get thrown to the fire quickly hosting your own tournament. And you start the tournament off hosting Anna Jonesboro at 11 o'clock on the 27th. But before we get into that, looks like you have a pretty good field coming back to Benton this year.
We do, I think the top of that list is Goreville, who right now is undefeated, played in the Super Sectional last year. They got a lot of kids coming back. Very nice team. Won the tournament last year. So I think they've got to kind of be the favorite. And Hamilton County has a couple losses. We lost to them here a couple weeks back. They're a very good basketball team. And then you have Carterville, who we were fortunate enough to beat by 1 down at the Marion tournament the first week of the season. So, those three teams are pretty good. I think we're off to a pretty decent start, and I hope to put a good week of basketball together, or a good 3 days anyway. And, I don't know as much about Trico and Anna. I have seen Anna. I think either Anna or Trico may be capable of beating one of those 4 teams on any given night. Trico is much improved. Basketball team that like to shoot it from the outside, has some pretty good guards. So I'm looking forward to a pretty good, pretty balanced tournament here next week.
Well, and of course, as we take a look at the Rangerettes Christmas Classic 2012 edition, and, the Rangerettes start the tournament off, but able to finish with the nightcap on the 27th. They have the nightcap, of course, on the 28th after a 12:30 game, then the 8:30 game. And then, of course, you have Goreville to finish it off at 7 p.m. A really balanced tournament in terms of the teams coming in. Carterville's played pretty well this season, of course, as I've been able to see on Facebook. And kind of coming into this, it's balanced, though Goreville does have that postseason experience and success. Hamilton County, as you said, is pretty good. Of course, Clint Weinmiller has them playing well. Not only is this a balanced tournament, it's an opportunity for a lot of people to get to see some good girls basketball with some great teams. And is this going to be in the East Gym or Rich Herron?
So I'll be in the East Gym.
Nice.
We'll play all games in the East Gym this year.
Very nice. So you're going to have that atmosphere of the East Gym as well. And so this could be kind of one of the diamonds in the rough that is all these Christmas tournaments down there in Benton. A great tournament again.
Yeah, it sure will be. In the past they've had 8 teams, and we had a couple teams drop out last year, and so we're down to 6 this year. But the 6 schools that are involved, I think we'll play a good quality game of basketball, and I think it's going to be exciting for the fans to watch. I don't think there's going to be too many blowout games. It should be very competitive, and like I said, we're looking forward to it, and hopefully we can ourselves put a good 4 or 5 games together here next week.
Of course, this is a busy time for Andy Sloan as well, head coach of the Benton Rangerettes. Andy, of course, the WMIX Sports Question of the Week this week, Christmas-related, Christmas theme. Christmas tree. Are you a real tree guy, fake guy? What do you got?
We're fake guys. We're fake people. That's all kind of my wife. Whatever she wants, we get, and we go with the fake tree for Christmas. So I don't have to go out and look for one. I've only lost it once or twice. I guess I've had to go and replace it, but other than that, we're fake.
There you go. Well, that's a heck of a thing to say. I didn't know you guys were fake, but artificial tree, of course. And Andy,
right.
You station the kids all have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you soon.
Hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate having me on, and hope to talk to you again.
Sounds good. Benton Rangerettes Christmas Classic, of course, the 27th, 28th, and 29th at Benton's East Gymnasium. It's kind of one of those you don't really think about in terms of a good 2A girls basketball tournament, plus 1A Goreville, and it really is. AJ coming in, struggling somewhat. Benton's having a great year under Andy Sloan. Carterville's under Todd Rogers having a decent year. Goreville, of course, a 1A Super Sectional finalist a year ago. They fell to eventual state runner-up Calhoun Herrick Beecher City. Hamco's having another solid year, as is Trico. They will all be down there at Benton. Moving on, of course, we need to go to, let's see. How about we go to Pinckneyville? Well, why don't we wrap up some girls' talk with Herron real quick. They actually just kind of do a round robin. They play in both Memorial Gym and the alternate auxiliary gym down there. Basically, you have DuQuoin, Pope County, Vienna, Pinckneyville, Murphy, and Herron all in this tournament. Everybody plays each other in this round robin. Games start on the 26th. They do have 2 sessions on Saturday, but basically you play once a day in the evening up until Saturday. So you have DuQuoin, a team the Lady Rams will see at Carbondale again this year on a Monday night. Vienna and Pinckneyville. Vienna had a pretty solid performance at the Marion tournament to start the year. Murphy's always tough. They play division foe Heron to start off the tournament, but as we saw, Heron's a team to be reckoned with that height, and you kind of wonder if Heron can get past Vienna at the 8 o'clock game of that evening session, if the Heron Lady Tigers might win that Heron Holiday Hoops tournament in 2012. So there's a quick glance at Heron. Of course, on the girls' side, that'll pretty well take care of all of the girls' tournaments and brackets that we have in tow. And another one that's become popular, and they've made quite a few changes to it this year, is the Duster Thomas Hoops Classic on the 28th and 29th. You kind of wondered, with them bringing in 4 more teams, how in the heck that was going to work. But with another gym in Pinckneyville now, looks like they're going to make it work. And the pool play on Saturday is kind of confusing because you go from pool play, A, B, C, and D, into color plays, pools, bronze, silver, and gold. There's 11th place.
Get a program.
Yes.
Get a program when you go in, because I was so curious about this myself. And, hey, what a thing to be able to do to get more teams involved in something like that, in a great facility to play basketball in. And utilize that other gym. You can do that now. And, they've divided it up into 4 pools, A, B, C, and D, 3 teams in each pool, a total of 12 teams. So, that's exciting, and it's going to be an opportunity to see some different style of basketball from some areas also.
Well, in one pool you have Pinckneyville, Redbud, and Tolono Unity. Unity is a new team in the tournament this year. So they will play – basically you get 2 pool games on Friday. So those are your 2 games on Friday. That part of the Pinckneyville Duster Thomas Hoops Classic does not change. Pool B is Westglen, Steelville, and Olney. Pool C, Benton, Jerseyville, and T-Town. Pool D is DuQuoin, Montini out of Lombard, one of the new teams in this tournament, and Lawrenceville. I believe the new teams are Westglen, Unity, Jersey, and Montini, if I recall correctly, from my Homer friend who's not with us today. But all in all, they add those 4. If they can get 4 more, they're going to have a nice – I assume they would go bracketed at that point if they got to 16. But if you can get 4 more, this is already a solid 12. T-Town, of course, I think – well, I'm not going to say what I think. Well, there's rumors, but pretty good tournament down there in Pinckneyville. I actually kind of like this. It's a little crazy with how it works at first, but Pool A and the bottom teams of each pool play each other kind of like in a semifinal in the bronze pool. Same thing in the silver with, I believe, that's number 2 finisher. It's easy. Once you learn the color situation of gold, silver, and bronze, you kind of figure it out. So you actually have semifinals in the morning between pools A and B and pools C and D. And then those teams meet up in the finals.
And that's the only
and
way
the losers play too.
And that's the only way they could do it, was just changing colors instead of adding more pools for more confusion. But you're basically going to have all 4 year winners, which that's what I think we've been clamoring for, something in the NCAA football poll, to try to do with it. Maybe we need to pass the pools and the colors along to them at the powers be. But you're going to have all 4 year winners, and what an exciting time for Westland to get an opportunity to play in something like this.
Well, no kidding.
And you talk about Montini there from Lombard,
that's wishful thinking.
Tolono Unity, stuff like that. I mean, these are football powers.
Yeah.
And we all know they play basketball. So a different area to come in to an environment of Pinckneyville where basketball was invented. A lot of people think so. That's fun, and I tell you, when I seen this drawn out, I'm definitely going to have to check the dates. We talked about that earlier. You definitely got to try and figure out where we're going to be at, but I'd like to try to slide down and watch a little bit this year again.
I would assume in the early going, Pinckneyville, Olney, T-Town have to be your favorites in A, B, and C. I guess DuQuoin maybe, not knowing much about Montini basketball. I see Montini on a baseball basis. They're good at football. I really don't know much about Montini Bronco basketball, though. And
we know Lawrenceville's still been struggling. It's just one of those things that's been ongoing now for a while. So you got to look at probably DuQuoin or Montini. So, but some of this sets up real nice, and the brackets look very evenly matched, and you can already sort of see the favorites. And then you got to look at, in that 3rd place round games of who the teams could be. You look at Tolono, possibly a Westglen, Benton, and then whoever, between Montini and DuQuoin. So you're going to get some different games, and I think that's what people are striving to do at this time of year.
That they are. And, of course, another storied program hosting a tournament is Collinsville. The K-Hawks have the Schnucks Holiday Classic. That starts on Thursday the 27th. Usually always runs concurrently with Centralia, two of the premier holiday tournaments in this area. Belleville East, Malcolm Hill, the future Illini, of course, draw the number 1 seed. Number 2 is Chatham-Glenwood. They were actually upset by Lincoln last night, if I recall correctly. Lincoln, the 4 seed. Springfield Southeast, who actually beat Lamphere last night, I believe, is the number 3 seed. So you take a look at this one, and obviously for most in our area, they're not going to know really who the favorites are, but it's really a balanced tournament. Collinsville, of course, has Triad so that they can try to move to the right side of the bracket. Triad lost to Westland last night. Decatur Eisenhower struggled the past few years, but your teams are Belleville East, Altoff, Decatur MacArthur, Lincoln, Oakville, Missouri, East St. Louis, who could make some noise in that tournament this year. You might love to see an East Side Belleville East. You might see an East Side Lincoln matchup. That would be good. East Side East would be good again. But you also have Urbana, Springfield Southeast, Granite City, Quincy, Dunlap, Collinsville, Triad, Glenwood, and Decatur Eisenhower. But for my money, and no reason to think it won't be Belleville East in one semi against an East Side or a Lincoln, maybe a Collinsville sneaking in there, see if they can battle Glenwood. The Titans pretty tough, but another good tournament, and this is a lot like Sesser and some other tournaments where the left side of the bracket's a tournament all in itself. These are all good teams in this Collinsville tournament, which is why it's so tough.
You look at the history of the state of Illinois, and you look at some of these storied programs when you talk about Decatur, Eisenhower, Quincy, Urbana. I mean, old-time basketball you think about, and now you get a little bit of a mix of bringing in Oakville, Missouri. A pretty good program over on the other side. Sort of curious about it. Haven't heard much about Riverview Gardens this year. They've got a tough road to hoe with them.
I'm going to tell you why I didn't mention them. I left them out because many were counting on their superstar Tyron Williams to put on a show, and as we all know, allegedly, according to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, suited up under an assumed name and a fake uniform in an MHSAA game. You can't do that. And so he is suspended indefinitely and will not be eligible for the Collinsville tournament. And so therefore, no Tyron Williams, who we saw light up Centralia last year and it was absolutely phenomenal, makes Riverview Gardens a totally different team. And you hate that, but no reason to think that they're not 2-0 in this one.
No, absolutely. That was just a big blow for that tournament. And Collinsville, this could be something to jumpstart them a little bit. Getting off to a good start this year, but now maybe clicking a little bit better, and what better way to get going is hosting a prestigious tournament that they've had for several years now. But you look at some of the old history in this tournament throughout the state of Illinois, and then you throw East St. Louis, and when do they start clicking again too?
Right.
So there's a lot of possibilities right here, but somebody's going to have to prove that they can beat Belleville East. That's a definite.
Well, and of course, Collinsville, just another. There's a lot of stability there at Collinsville, and that's the thing that you can take away from that is those teams love it there. It's hard to find an opening. I know they had one at one time, and next year, that Riverview Gardens will be back at Centralia, allegedly, and McClure North will go back to Collinsville, and that flip every year, which I think it's great that Centralia and Collinsville are able to allow that to happen and work together on that. But another one in our area that they keep trying to make it a bigger and bigger tournament is Carbondale. Trying to keep up with the Joneses, I guess. And Rick Moss, obviously, we know, does a great job hosting a tournament. Did it at Centralia for many years, really kind of helped bring that back to the forefront. Got some great teams in there year after year. Not that Centralia really had to have anybody specific to keep that a great tournament tradition. Sometimes speaks for itself. But this will be the 49th Carbondale Holiday Tournament, and a lot of Kentucky and some Tennessee flavor to this one. Paducah St. Mary's will battle Cairo to open it up. And you can't, this is not in time order, by the way, because they still do the Class A and Class 2A pools, or brackets here, so these are not in time order, but Trico will battle Carnahan out of Missouri at 4 o'clock on Thursday. Memphis U-High, I believe that's Chicago Collins. Saw them at Alton a few years ago, and that's just a team that struggled somewhat, if that is the Chicago Collins. Carterville and Madison could end up being a good one there at 10:30 on Thursday morning. But you have Edwardsville, I would assume probably your number 1 seed versus Bartlett, Tennessee at 1 p.m. That could be a good one. First round games are all played at Carbondale. Then you kind of really have to pay attention to the bracket to see where you're playing. Especially pay attention to the bracket for your times, because again, not in time order. Marion, who beat Mount Vernon last night, will play Arlington. Carbondale lost to Centralia last night, plays East Peoria. Carbondale actually plays one more time before the tournament. They will actually host Cairo today in an afternoon game. But then Memphis, Manassas, and Hazelwood West battled out in the first round at Carbondale. And Carbondale is one of those, you take a look at the bracket. We're talking about it right now just because Carbondale's in the South 7 and Carbondale hosts. It is probably the best tournament you know nothing about.
Yeah, and it's one of those that I think that they've just went so much flavor out of state, and it's done for a purpose because of just some other tournaments in the area, the facilities. Now with the new high school, they're getting more games there. They still play the bulk of this at SIU Arena with some games, and I've tried to go. I've been there. I've tried to watch it over the years, but it's just a little bit out of the way that where I can try to centrally locate my route of Sesser, Centralia, and Mater Dei, try to get it. And now this year trying to maybe do the Pinckneyville slot in there a little bit too. I just can't find my way down to Carbondale anymore. I just can't do it.
I usually camp out at Centralia anymore due to our coverage on X95, so I usually don't make it anywhere. I know I won't make it to Sesser this year. My 26 is crammed so tightly in the office that I actually will not be at Sesser for our coverage down there at SVHT. So that'll be disappointing. I'd always like to make it down there, but Centralia is basically going to be the only place I am this year. Still 3 tournaments to talk about here on the Saturday Sports Show. Looks like we're going to have that overrun here on the Saturday Sports Show presented by Crossroads Community Hospital as we near the 10 o'clock hour on WMIX Mount Vernon. We're going to go to Vandalia briefly. Now let's go Freeburg. I'm sorry. Let's go Freeburg. Freeburg is another pool play tournament playing with 4 pools. One pool, Pool A, is Marquette, Freeburg, and Metro East Lutheran. Pool B is Jabot, Civic Memorial, and Dupo. C is Waterloo, Columbia, and Valmeyer, while Pool D is Murphy, Lebanon, and Hillsboro. We're going to assume, for the sake of argument right now, that is Hillsboro, Illinois, because I do not see where it's indicated that it would be Missouri. But both would be logical. But this tournament rotates between Freeburg and Columbia. Basically, it's pool play. We told you the pools. I guess Marquette probably a favorite in Pool A, Jabot in B, Columbia in C, who's 3A now this year, and then take your pick in Pool D, I guess, between Murphy and Lebanon.
Yeah, I think D's wide open.
Yeah.
Absolutely wide open. Metro East Lutheran, off and on, but Marquette this year with so much returning back on both of those teams, I think that's pretty interesting. Jabot, I think Jabot's going to make some statements early. This is a chance for them to, set the stage, because it's going to work out where they're going to be in the Oakville Regional whenever they go to that time later on in the year. They'll meet up somewhere wherever that regional site will be. So I think they're going to make a statement early here in this tournament of getting to see some different people and a different variety for them. But yeah, Columbia, it's in Freeburg this year. Take advantage of that. And Pool D, it is wide open.
Oh, wide open indeed. Of course, Freeburg and Columbia, they rotate between those 2 sites. This year it's at Freeburg. And but once you get out of that pool play, they kind of do what Pinckneyville does, and they have the semifinals in each, where the third from each plays, the second from each plays, and the first from each plays. And they also do the A, B, C, D format. You kind of wonder if that's where Pinckneyville kind of got this format from. I don't remember it being this way last year at Freeburg either, though.
I don't either.
I was thinking they were bracketed last year.
I don't remember this either, because that's distinctly what caught my eye on both of these, the Duster Thomas and the Freeburg Columbia, is how they had the 4 pools, and I was curious how they were going to do that. And then, I don't believe that was done that way when it was at Columbia last year.
Well, no, not at all. And, of course, again, running over a little bit here on the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX and WMIXsports.com. We're glad to have you with us. Glad that you've stuck around for our overrun on Holiday Tournament Preview Day. And, of course, no reason to think that, if Pool A and Pool B play each other, that it's not a Marquette, and a Jabot semi, and then a Waterloo or Columbia. Basically, that's going to be up for grabs, and that kind of stinks that C plays D, because A, B could be the championship with Marquette and Jabot. Easily, and that's no disrespect intended to any of the other. That's nuts.
The trick's going to be how the bracketing is going to be and how the crossover games are going to end up being. But, yeah, if they do it that way with, and I'm looking down here and I'm seeing the third-place games, and they are doing A and B and then C and D together. So, well, they're going to spend a lot of energy if that's the case in that first semifinal game like that, for sure. But I guess that's also a way to get that extra game that everybody wants to try to play as many games as possible when you get in that tournament format. So that works out pretty well in that regard. And this is unusual, and it's something different for me to sort of look at how they're doing this.
Of course, Vandalia has their 41st annual Vandalia Holiday Tournament this year. 2 pools, pool play. They have 10 teams in the tournament, so each team will get, I believe, a guaranteed 4 games. Plus, actually 5, if it works out the way I think it will. You get the 4 in the pool, and then everybody gets a trophy game on the final day. And Pool A, interesting. Flora's the 1 seed, undefeated, I believe, still. Your 4 seed is Pena. Your 5 seed is St. Elmo. 8 is Greenville, Tennis, South Central in Pool A. Pool B is number 2, Maroa Forsyth. Vandalia is the 3 seed. Shelbyville is the 6. Altamont's the 7. And St. Anthony's the 9. And this could be an interesting one.
Well, yeah, you're seeing a little bit of flavor right there. Some teams have, had some football success and basketball. Maroa Forsyth over the years. Shelbyville of years ago. Altamont, which will be hosting one of the regionals that we'll cover, or sectionals that we'll cover this year, hopefully. South Central from the old Midland Trail Conference. St. Elmo in that area. In Flora, that will be a ball game, a team that Woodlawn will be facing later on in the year as well. So quite a bit of interest right here at Vandalia. And they do. That's probably one of the tournaments that's just sort of out of my loop that's been very competitive over the years, and some great athletes has went through that tournament. But I have never stepped foot in that gym for a tournament game. I've been there on some regular season games, but never been able to make it during the holidays. There's just too many good ones around closer.
I think Flora is your odds-on favorite in that one, and I don't want to say it's not even close, but I think it's Flora and then maybe Maroa and then everybody else at this point.
Yeah, and I've lost track this year of Maroa, not knowing how many came back with that. I know Altamont's lost a few games earlier. Haven't heard much out of Shelbyville yet this year. So, I think Flora. I know South Central, seen their JV teams over the years when they were in the Midland Trail and how the graduation was hitting them. So, Flora looks pretty heavily favored right there.
And, of course, taking a look now at Diederich as we move over. The Moving Maroons have their own tournament. Of course, that's pool play as well with Christ Our Rock Lutheran, Newton, North Clay, and Red Hill. Pool B is Arcola, Beecher City, Diederich, and Oblong. And in news this past week, Cowden Herrick and Beecher City, of course, are talking co-op for all sports now, so that could make things interesting between the St. Elmo Holiday Tournament and Diederich as far as who would end up with that team. And this is a Woodlawn and an Altamont, short of basically being a possible sectional preview in terms of the Altamont sectional at Diederich.
Well, that's why I printed this one out, just to give a look here and I want to pay attention to this, because Oblong, everybody heard about the run that the Cardinals made last year, and they played them in the sectional, at Red Hill, and a lot of the bulk of that team is going to be back this year. So trying to keep an eye on them, and you got Red Hill, where they've hosted in the past. North Clay, a conference opponent by Woodlawn, Waltonville, and Wayne City, and Weber in the area. Christ Our Rock Lutheran. People's going to have to start keeping a watch on them now. They're going to be in Woodlawn's regional this year also. And you're getting a little bit north, and you bring in Arcola, a team that's run into Arthur over the past. Tuscola in that same area. So pretty good basketball up in there, and Beecher City runs into your St. Elmo's and people like that. So this one here, definitely going to have to keep a watch on it, because I think Diederich is good again this year too.
That they are, and that's pretty well going to be a wrap of your holiday tournaments here on the Saturday Sports Show. I think we got everywhere that we wanted to go pretty much. Got in some girls, got in some wrestling, got in some boys as well as far as the premier holiday tournaments in the state. A little bit of an overrun this morning, but no matter. We'll get you back to some of America's best music here in just a moment on WMIX. Sports coverage this week will have 2 from Sesser on the 26th. We'll be at Centralia, of course, for the Mount Vernon Rams the rest of the week. And have Centralia Holiday Tourney coverage for you on X95, our sister station as well. A lot of our stations doing coverage. We hope you'll tune into one of them. This is the Saturday Sports Show presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. We'll take it back to some of America's best music here on WMIX Mount Vernon, a free service from Withers Broadcasting. Follow us on Twitter at WMIX Sports. For scores, it's WMIX